Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and this is my review for Ready Player One. And I absolutely love this book by Ernest Cline, and I was super excited when I found out this film was being made, especially with Steven Spielberg directing. And for those going in, who love the book, this is very different than the book, and they do change quite a bit, but take the main idea of what's going on in the book with this young man who's in this big virtual reality world called the Oasis and trying to find this Easter egg. It's basically some form of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, of like trying to find the new ownership of this place, which they even use the song from Willy Wonka in the trailer, one of those slow, more dramatic covers of it, like they do with a lot of movies. But honestly, so Steven Spielberg takes this film and does some great things with it. The action I thought was pretty exciting and cool. The race, that chase sequence in that race was really awesome. And I'm not going to give away any of the like Easter eggs or cameos or whatever the hell you want to call them, because I think it would take away from the film. But there's some crazy fun things going on with that chase. They were able to create some real tension and suspense in a lot of scenes, including one particular one hopping into another movie, which was crazy. Absolutely loved that sequence towards the middle of this film. And what Spielberg's able to do telling this story, I feel like there were some issues with relying too much on non-visual storytelling, like a lot of exposition, and that's more in the writing, which this was written by Zach Penn and Ernest Cline, who wrote the book. And especially the very beginning was just like exposition dump, and it's just like, okay, I get it. But there was some good visual storytelling throughout that section, and it's just like, why couldn't they just lean on us understanding what this film is trying to convey to us? And that was my biggest gripe, is that it did feel dumbed down and trying to be too, like, this is a popcorny movie. And it's like, okay, I get it. We get it. We get the idea of what's going on here. The special effects are crazy and amazing, and it does very much feel like a video game, and we spend a lot of time there. My biggest issue with pacing-wise is things going on outside of the Oasis were a lot less interesting than what's going on inside the Oasis. And when you would jump back to like the real world kind of stuff, it wasn't as interesting in what was going on. But overall, Spielberg does a really good job with this film, at least from the direction, and the action is really awesome. Visually, this is a really great film. Technically, this is a great film. And in terms of the emotion, I don't know if this film really hit with a lot of it, and unfortunately, because of some lack of connections with some of the characters and such, and that kind of takes away from this film. But with the cinematography to go along more with the visual of this film, Janusz Kaminski, who does a lot of Steven Spielberg's films now, he does a really good job framing this film. There's some cool shots. This definitely looks like a Spielberg film, and especially with all of the motion capture. I actually don't know if this was motion capture or just CGI, but a lot of those shots inside the Oasis are fantastic, and there's some interesting things what they do with some of the videos and incorporations of things visually, including incorporating this one other film that I mentioned before. I think that was really well done. Zach Penn and Ernest Cline, though, lack in developing some great characters, because honestly, none of the characters are super interesting, and they have this love story between Artemis and Percival, and it's just kind of like, she's cool, and like they even mention it's just like, you're falling in love with what I show you, and like these minimal things and stuff like that. But it's like building that connection, and the story drags a bit, and it's a little flabby. Some of the characters, which I know they're in the book, but they're really underutilized in this, and it's just like, why are you here? And some of the choices that they make in terms of adapting this, and I feel like they take away some potential tension and building of more intrigue and mystery by doing more reveals towards the beginning of the film than they did in the book. And I feel like the film hurt a little bit because of that. But honestly, this is an interesting story. And from start to finish, I think the overall story of this is compelling and interesting enough for you to be engaged and keep going throughout this film. Now, emotionally and thematically, it's pretty surface level. It doesn't hit on a lot of things. A lot of the big emotional swells of this film aren't earned, which is unfortunate. The music I thought was fantastic by Alan Silvestri. He does a great job of like sampling a lot of popular scores but creating his own really powerful one, and it does incorporate all this 80s music, that 80s aesthetic, and even some of the score of the film that I keep mentioning that they utilize was really cool as well. Now, performance-wise, Ty Sheridan's fine. He does a nice job as Wade Watts, and Olivia Cooke I thought was really good. I really enjoyed her in this film. Ben Mendelsohn does a nice job as the villain, but he doesn't get much more than just like maniacal kind of evil business guy, and TJ Miller pops up and he's just kind of goofy. But I think the best performance in this that I really, really enjoyed was Mark Rylance, who plays James Halliday. And he's fantastic, and he's very understated and awkward and interesting. And I think he had the most compelling performance in this whole entire film, which doesn't surprise me because Mark Rylance is a fantastic actor. This film is a lot of fun. It lacks in a lot of different ways, but overall this is a fun popcorn film. But my biggest gripe, where's all the Rush? Me being a huge Rush fan, they do take out like everything, every reference to Rush from the books, and it's really disappointing. That's the one thing that I'm gonna like spoil. I'm just like, not enough Rush, which is why I'm giving Ready Player One a B-.